Thomas the Tank Engine is an international icon, known and endeared by one and all. He's so popular, in fact, there even exists a life-sized replica built by Mattel, the toy manufacturing company that owns Thomas, which is then leased to various railway museums for a few days so that they too may capitalize off the famous anthropomorphized steam locomotive. Recently, Thomas visited the booming town of Squamish, presented by the Rail Museum of British Columbia. They run the Thomas event annually and include a host of activities, including a bouncy castle, catering, entertainment, and even a miniature train that you can ride, which is definitely safe and accident-free. During my brief exploration, I also discovered the museum was selling a model train set. Finished benchwork, scenery, tracks, electrical, all for $185. But the main event, well, it is truly something magical. Picture it in your mind. You enter the museum gates. You're greeted by a very welcoming sign. A day out with Thomas. But where is he? You walk along the pathway, your view obstructed by the roundhouse. All you can hear is the cheerful tune and a crowd of people. But as you make your way forward, and the crowd begins to disperse, you finally see him. Thomas. Big. Bright. Blue. He greets you with a smile, his eyes observing the crowd. His dark, soulless eyes. A black hole. A deep abyss. Did you just look at me? Surely not. Must have been the wind. Behind Thomas is a set of passenger coaches, upon which the main ride takes place. Of course, there's little fun to be had going back and forth at literal walking speed around a dingy old rail yard. Unless, of course, you're extremely enamored by the sights of ancient rolling stock with trees growing out of it. So, the museum took advantage of the vacant main line owned by Canadian National in order to provide their patrons with a real train ride. Speed, scenery, excitement. For an entire 20 minutes. But, god damn it if they weren't the best 20 minutes of your life. Now, whenever you're going to operate any kind of train, fictional or otherwise, on a federally regulated right-of-way, you require a qualified crew. That's where I come in. Naturally, with me being an outstanding citizen and member of the community, I was first choice to volunteer at today's event, after several other people said no. And since I honestly had nothing better to do except sit at home and play Minecraft, I of course said yes. Now you're probably thinking, but Devin, the Thomas event will be crawling with kids. I thought you hated kids. No, you're wrong. I despise them with every fiber of my being. But I'm a firm believer that love will always triumph over hate. And you know what I love more than anything? Attention. And let me tell you, all eyes were on me over the weekend as I flaunted my railway attire. It was immediately clear to everyone that I was the man who commanded Thomas, and they all wanted me. Men, women, children. Don't dwell on that last part, everybody on Twitter will lose their minds. An added bonus to volunteering at this event was the number of attractive mothers. They were everywhere. I think I could easily pick up a date at this event, if I'm being honest. I mean, what's not to like? I have cool sunglasses, luscious hair, magnificent beard, tall. Not to mention what with me working with Thomas all day, their kids will already love me. But I could not mingle with the fans all day. I had a very important job to do. I donned my reflective armor, my boots worn from years of battle. I climbed aboard this astounding legend before me, and was immediately surprised. They say you should never meet your heroes. Well, they aren't wrong. Turns out, Thomas is nothing more than a glorified boxcar containing absolutely nothing within but a chair, a fog machine, and some mechanical doodads. Turns out, Thomas is just as hollow as Justin Trudeau's promises. So the entire weekend we were going to be deceiving small ignorant children, which, coincidentally, is one of my favorite pastimes. So if Thomas isn't real, well then how did the train move? Good question. I'm glad you didn't ask. Thomas was actually being pulled by CN 6520, An FP9A diesel locomotive geared for a top speed of 89
The
miles
EMD
per hour.
FP9 is an
Originally
American
part of a group of
remanufactured
Basically, it's a big engine. So, my job more or less was to just exist on Thomas, while the real work was being done by the engineer at the other end of the train. We would make our way out of the station, over a bridge, out on CN's main line, and return to the station a full 20 minutes later. Getting the timing down was a little challenging, but we eventually found we could go from the station to the end of the Squamish switching limits and back doing track speed, and it was a near perfect 20 minutes. By day 2, we had it down to a science. Depart station, enter main line, go over bridge, wave at children, stop, reverse, enter station, be complimented by hot moms as they disembark. All was going well until our second last trip for the weekend. It was like every other, perfection. But this time, upon arriving at the station, I was told we were being a bit naughty. You see, the museum doesn't own Thomas, and because the museum doesn't own Thomas, we can't exactly do whatever we want with Thomas, as we were made quite aware by a representative from Mattel. She claims we were going too fast for poor Thomas, as he's only capable of a measly 15 miles per hour. We were doing 25, so we had to slow down a little bit. But for the first weekend of 2, I'd say we were doing pretty well. Just ignore the group of people who were angry because we left them behind. Weekend number 2. At this point, I was a pro. I had all my paperwork, all my gear. I was ready to take on the world, and everything continued to flow smoothly. Families were enjoying themselves. Thomas continued with his suspicious eye movements. The mini rail continued to not kill anybody, and we drove the train at exactly 15 miles per hour and nothing more. I was treated to a lovely dinner. The Shady Tree. Not a whole lot of tree. Not a whole lot of shade. But it was a lovely meal, and it was basically free, so I can't complain. I laughed with my fellow volunteers. We told stories, complained about politics, bullied a small child. It was good fun at the Shady Tree. This establishment provides refreshments of the intoxicating kind. Normally, this would not be an important detail because I'm not an alcoholic. However, it was due to this specific detail that a police officer made camp just outside the parking lot. Honestly, not a bad idea. Catch the drunk drivers before they can get onto the public streets. I was honestly impressed with the level of proactiveness on display here, until I got pulled over. Me? The cop pulled me over? Are you kidding me? I've never had a sip of alcohol in my life! He said it was a random check. I think it was racially motivated. Oh well. The traffic stop only lasted several minutes, and I had to blow in a breathalyzer while police lights flashed by my car on this very public roadway. Good thing none of my friends saw me. That would be embarrassing. It's the final day. I knew it would come. The children would have to say goodbye to Thomas. I would have to say goodbye to the beautiful moms. All of us managing the Thomas event were determined to have a flawless day, and goddamn if we didn't do our best. Every train departed on time. Every ride, exactly 20 minutes. Every mini rail, not causing bodily harm. The day was perfect. The final run of the day, we left on time. We made it to the end of the line, on time. We began our reversal back to the station, on time. There was one small obstacle. The bridge. It's a train bridge designed for trains and trains only. But when has that ever stopped anybody? On several occasions thus far, I've encountered some wandering trespassers, evidently illiterate, otherwise they would see the rather obvious no trespassing signs. These meandering characters were typically but a minor inconvenience. As soon as they see the train coming, they quickly evacuate the bridge. On the last trip of the last day, what else do I see but a woman showing great disdain towards private property, loitering directly in my path. Based on previous experience, I expected her to remove herself post-haste. She did not do this. Instead, the lady elected to stand on the walkway on the bridge, which, whilst not ideal due to the extreme proximity to the tracks itself, it is a viable option. Normally, I would allow this. I had already come to terms with her blatant disregard for her own life and personal safety, so I really did not care either way how close she was to the train. However, she had a dog with her, and lucky for her, I value animals far more than I value people. And so, I was forced to cause confusion and delay by telling my engineer to bring Thomas to a stop. Congratulations, woman. You made us late. Words were exchanged. She elected to abide by my commands to get off the bridge, though I'm not sure she fully appreciates what her dog did for her that day. Alas, we arrived at the station for the last time. Late. Oh well. So much for perfection. Despite a few hiccups here and there, overall it was a great time. I'd say we performed adequately. The kids had fun. I had fun. And most importantly, nobody died on the mini rail. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. I'll catch you next time. Peace. Have you ever been in the middle of executing an idea, and then you slowly start to realize that not only was that a bad idea, but the consequences are far too much for you to bear and borderline irreversible? Yeah, me neither.